So the work that led to this award actually started with a not surprising but tragic outcome of a clinical trial in which an 18-year-old died during a test of a new therapy, which was not surprising because people die in clinical trials, unfortunately. That's the nature of the beast with experimental medicine, and they're already quite sick. So it didn't actually catch my attention until my partner at the Washington Post, Deb Nelson, who's an investigative reporter and who is by nature suspicious of everything, came to me and wondered whether there was something amiss with this death. And that was the beginning of a really interesting process in which I, as a science reporter, had general trust of scientists and science and felt like there was nothing surprising here. And Deb, who was an investigative reporter and was always looking for malfeasance, thought maybe something was wrong. And this process unfolded over a period of weeks and months where we investigated that death and found, to my surprise, that quite a few rules had been broken, that the researchers who led the study had actually not followed FDA regulations and had broken through some legal and ethical boundaries. And our series of stories actually ended up resulting in some important changes in which the FDA oversight of these kinds of trials was increased and enhanced, and the leader of that study was disbarred from getting further federal funding and had other restrictions put on him. So I feel like we made a big difference in that case in how gene therapy trials were overseen and monitored. But it is interesting that today, with new technologies coming into the medical scene, many of the same kinds of questions are arising in terms of just how much oversight there should be, how fast scientists should move forward in these experimental arenas, at what point should you start actually doing experiments with humans. SciLine grew out of a recognition that the journalism landscape was changing radically, not just generally. We all know about this sort of shrinkage of newspapers and circulation and so on, and the disappearance of reporters from newsrooms generally, but because science reporters and specialty reporters who cover the environment and health and science were in particular disappearing. And a lot of those stories on those topics are now getting done by general assignment reporters and freelancers who may be great reporters, but who just don't have the scientific background and the technical background to really be able to dig into some of these stories, and who lack that sort of deep bench of experts who they know from years of experience, who they can turn to give them some context as they work on these kinds of stories. SciLine connects reporters with experts on demand, on deadline, when needed. A reporter can come to us when they're working on a story and say, I'm working on a story about X. I need an expert who understands X. I don't know where to turn. We have a large database of scientists who are very good in their fields and, importantly, are also great communicators and articulate communicators. And we turn to that database when we get a request from a reporter. We find a few experts who we think are perfect for the need. We contact those scientists first for the reporter and make sure that in fact their expertise is well matched and that they're available within the reporter's deadline. We also create fact sheets that we put up on our website that are designed just for reporters. They're very easy to use, they're very easy to look at, they're bullet pointed, they're produced in-house, but they're vetted and fact-checked by outside experts. And we also sponsor online web-based media briefings where we'll get 3 or 4 experts online. Reporters can log in. We'll get as many as 50 or more reporters at a time logging in to watch these briefings. They get up to speed on a topic, a science-related topic that's in the news, and then they can ask questions live with these scientists and get really well educated and deep on various topics that are in the news. SciLine team is made up of sort of 2 classes of people. We've got some PhD scientists on staff who know how scientists think and are really good at communicating with scientists on their level, and they do a lot of the outreach to the experts to try to make these matches and connect them with journalists. And they are also the ones who are building up that database all the time, going around to research institutions around the country and recruiting scientists from universities and elsewhere to be volunteers to talk to journalists as needed. And then we've got some former journalists like myself who are more newsroom oriented, who know how to talk to the reporters, who are asking us for help and know how the news business works and what the pressures are for the news cycle. That's actually an important part of our mission, just to help these two communities understand each other better and get along better and help each other towards the mutual goal of getting more evidence out into the world, getting more research-based facts into news stories so that the public can read these stories, can understand what the facts are, and can make decisions in their lives, whether it's something personal, like what to do about their health, or something political, like who to vote for. We're nonpartisan, we're non-political in this operation of SciLine, but we do put the evidence out there so that people who read these news stories can make smart decisions based on the evidence. I think one interesting phenomenon that's happening in the scientific community is that there's a growing recognition among scientists and among the universities where they work that scientists have a responsibility to share details about their work with the public, not just to be in the ivory tower, but to talk about their work and do public engagement. And SciLine is really committed to helping that happen. We encourage scientists to go to our website, to sign up, to be part of our database so that they can be available to talk to reporters when reporters need help explaining things and be part of the conversation with the public as much as possible.